Beautiful night in South Florida. Fear the turtle. That's been the rallying cry all week for the Terrapin fans, but the Florida fans have been in big games before. They know what it's all about. They've got another big one tonight in the 68th FedEx Orange Bowl. It's the Florida Gators against the Terrapins of Maryland. From Pro Players Stadium in Miami, hi everybody, and Happy New Year to you. You know, the first 2 days of this new year, all the talk about this game has been about a Heisman Trophy runner-up quarterback named Rex Grossman, a first-team All-American who will not start this game tonight for the Florida Gators. Head coach Steve Spurrier had a very brief conversation with us about that.
Rex and a couple other guys broke a team rule while we were down here, and they're not going to start the game. So Brock Berlin will start the game, and we'll go from there.
And you saw that jaw tighten just a little bit with Steve Spurrier. The Maryland Terrapins are the champions of the Atlantic Coast Conference, and here they come. And here come the Florida Gators, looking for their first top 5 finish since 1998. Oh, man, I've seen some fired-up snapper turtles in my day, partner, but those guys are ready to play football. And, you know, you quarterbacks are always making some kind of news. Rex Grossman won't start. John and Terry touched on it. What's going to be the difference tonight with Brock Berlin at starting?
Make no mistake, this is not one of those years where Florida doesn't have any quarterbacks that can play. He's got 2 quarterbacks that can play. Brock Berlin 2 years ago was the top recruit coming out of high school. He's now at Florida, and he can play. He's like 1 and 1A with Rex Grossman. Grossman again will be in after a couple of series, and I expect to see Grossman have at least 20-25 passes before it's over with.
All right, whoever plays quarterback, we know the sky is going to be full of footballs, and I think Maryland likes it that way. Their defense very opportunistic, second in the country in interceptions. They'll get after you.
Well, if Maryland is to have a chance to win this game, it's their defense that has to set the tone. They're an attacking, aggressive defense. E.J. Henderson, the ACC's player of the year, not only the defensive player, leads that unit. They take the ball away. A lot of takeovers. They've got to set their offense up in good field position.
And their offense is centered around a tailback who was the ACC's offensive player of the year, and Bruce Perry over 1,200 yards on the ground this year. Our man is Lynn Swan. The man is Ralph Regent. Fellas.
Thank you very much, Brad. Coach, you made a strong statement with your football team this year. Now you have a chance to put an exclamation mark at the end. How do you get it done?
Well, we got to execute. It's a fine Florida football team. They're very talented. We got to have to go out there and execute our offense and execute our defense. We got to tackle well on defense. We got to make plays on offense.
On the offensive side, everyone knows how good you are at coaching up your team. In a game like this, do you change much, or do you stick with what got you here?
We got a few little wrinkles in there, but we're pretty much stay the way we've been.
Coach, good luck to you.
Thank you.
I know he's got some wrinkles in there, and this guy has got an offense that's as wrinkled as you can get. Steve Spurrier, 12th year as Florida head coach, at least 9 wins all the way through there. And he'll have some fun tonight, too, as they try to win their 10th ball game of the season.
Well, they've both had some time to prepare, and when Ralph said we'll have a few little wrinkles in there,
I wonder if it'll be too much time to prepare. The longest stretch they think maybe ever between an ending game and a bowl game for Maryland, 46 days.
And Maryland has never done this. These players on this team have never been to a bowl game. Florida has been every year to a January bowl game, so we'll experience in favor of the Gators.
That's Rich Parson. He's back deep with Julian Gary. Matt Petrovich is going to tee it up. Maryland won the toss, and they said, you know what, let's take the football. You don't see that much anymore. That's the kind of confidence Ralph Regent has in his offense, that maybe they could put a little time-consuming drive together against the Gators. Here's the kick. The FedEx Orange Bowl's underway. Taken by Gary at about the 7. He bangs his way across the 20-yard line to the 21, and that's where Shaun Hill will take over. A quarterback nobody wanted out of high school, and he now is one of the more efficient guys in the country. Second-team All-ACC performer. He's 11-3 as a starter, and he says he's just scratching the surface on knowing this offense. And Ralph Regent says, I would love to have this kid another year.
Yeah, he's cool. He's smart. He gets him into the right plays, out of the bad plays. He is the general on the field.
The Terps open with 3 wideouts from their own 23. There's a wrinkle already. End around for Parson. Didn't get much. Florida stayed home. Did a nice job. And Marquand Manuel made the stop defensively. Offensively for the Terps, the FedEx starting lineup looks like this for the Big Eaters up front. Brooks, Schmidt in there for White, who was second team ACC. Fowler's the best they got. Bryan and Crawford round out the front 5. Perry, the key. Lynch and Gary. Jafar Williams is their leading receiver. Jeff Dugan is the tight end. A pickup of 2 on that end around. It's 2nd down and 8. Hill going to flare it out in the flats to Perry. And Perry is not going to make the 30. Got about 4. It's going to bring up 3rd down against the Gator defense. An All-American and Alex Brown on one side. Okendo Johnson takes the start on the other. Scott and Lefevre are inside. The linebacking core, Natil, Andre Davis, who was injured this time a year ago, and Hardman. Lito Shepard, an All-American. Manuel, we saw make the first stop. Todd Johnson is their number 2 tackler, and Benny Alexander, another good corner. And Johnson is their leader back there. 3rd down along 4. Hill, quick pass over the head of the intended receiver. Tried to get it out to the fullback Lynch, and maybe a little bit too much excitement in that right arm.
Yeah, a little excitement. You've been waiting 46 days for this, maybe a whole lifetime for Shaun Hill. First bowl game for Maryland in a long time. Just don't make a mistake on your first possession. It's okay to punt it away. Good punter.
Great punter. The ACC's best. Brooks Bernard set to kick away. Lito Shepard will wait on the other end. And he hasn't had the kind of numbers as a punt returner he had a year ago, but he was dangerous last season. He took 2 all the way back for touchdowns. Wow.
Good kick.
Shepard way back to the 12. And good coverage as well by the Terrapins.
Great coverage. A good punt is no good without good coverage. And Maryland's been doing it this way all year.
60-yard punt. And Florida takes over inside their own 15. Brock Berlin gets the start. Steve Spurrier talked with us about it.
Brock's been at Florida 2 years. Really hadn't had an opportunity to play much at all. In fact, this is going to be his first start. But when I watch him in practice, when we watch him in pregame warm-ups, there's not a lot of difference. So Brock, you know, at some point I've always thought maybe he deserves a chance to play the game, and all of a sudden this incident happened here. So, you know, I think it's just the right thing to do right now.
And on 1st down, he gets leveled as he throws, and it's incomplete. They wanted to put pressure on the quarterback regardless of who was in there, and Leon Joe, the linebacker, just hammered him.
Steve told us that he was going to play Brock Berlin a lot in the 2nd quarter anyway. Well, the suspension just kicked it up to the start.
9 touchdowns.
That's more than Heisman Trophy winner
Eric Crouch
from Nebraska, Eric Crouch, threw this year. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, 60% completion rate.
An eye backfield behind Berlin and 3 wide receivers. Graham, the tailback, back in there after the injury, kept him out. Play action for Berlin, and Brock goes downfield, and he throws a strike. Jabbar Gaffney on the run. Gaffney out to the 40. And it's 1st down Florida. Pickup of 23.
2 plays, 2 passes, whether it's Grossman or Berlin. A little square in route to Gaffney. Gaffney has caught over 100 balls in his first 2 years with the Gators.
Can't throw it any better than this, Grease.
The square in, nice route running, nice design, good play. Helps the confidence. Berlin making his first start.
The butterflies are probably gone. 1st down at the 40. Here comes a blitz from the corner. Graham runs right by that blitz, and he's out to midfield and more. There's what they missed in the Auburn game. There's what they missed in the Tennessee game, was a guy that can tote the mail, as Graham just did, for a 1st down. Here's the Big Eaters on the FedEx starting front wall. Pearson's an All-American. Snell, Zadelis Mooney, and Starks up front. Graham is the man we just talked about. Roberts, his lead man at fullback. Gaffney and Caldwell are great wide receivers, both over 1,000 yards, and Aaron Walker is the tight end. And there's Graham, who got 15 the first time he touched it. So immediately, the Gators are in Maryland territory at the 45-yard line. Here comes a blitz. Berlin has plenty of time. Throws incomplete. Nice job defensively by Jerome Cox, the cornerback. And defensively for Maryland, on the FedEx defensive starting line, Roundtree, Hill, their nose tackle, a great player. Feldheim and Whaley. Joe, E.J. Henderson, the player of the year Bob talked about, and Aaron Thompson making his 45th start. You think he hasn't waited a while for this game? Okonlawan's back at one corner, Cox on the other, and Jones and Littles are the safeties. And Littles is a Gainesville native making a start tonight. And there's Aaron Thompson, and he has waited a long, long time for this. To be in a bowl game after struggling 4 years to get here. From the shotgun, Berlin's going to throw a screen out here. Jacobs going to outrun the man in the corner, Denard Wilson. And he can't. Wilson stays there, makes a nice tackle. Now it's going to be 3rd down and a mile.
It's a little zone blitz. The guys on the outside are coming. Linemen on the inside drop off, but the Gators pick it up very nicely. It's interesting talking to Steve the other day about this defense. They play that 30 nickel, that 30 dime. He says they blitz a little bit. He says that's something everybody's doing now. We'll just have to figure it out. Pull the gun and protect, and we'll be all right.
They're in the gun. Now we'll see if they protect. Empty backfield except Berlin. 5 wideouts for Florida. 3rd down and 23. Steps up in the pocket. It's going to go long. Man out there, and he got him. Inside the 5, it's 1st and goal to Taylor Jacobs. 34 yards.
It was a 3-man rush, dropping 8. Maryland had guys back there, and Wilson, number 13, is not going to make a play on the ball. Wilson's number 13.
Denard Wilson, number 13, Bob. What he does, instead of playing the ball, he plays the man. The ball's in the air. He started running to the receiver. Had he looked at the ball, judged the speed of the ball, he could have made a play on it.
They just threw the ball up for grabs.
So it's 1st and goal for the Gators. Graham behind his fullback. Berlin taking his time. It's a toss. Ernest Graham cuts inside, and he's cut down before he got to the goal line. He picked up 2. E.J. Henderson again involved on the stop, along with Leon. Joe,
you can see Steve Spurrier signaling in the plays. Now, a lot of head coaches or offensive coordinators send it in through another quarterback, through another player. Steve does it himself, not all the time, but in some of the bowl games probably, he's sending them in himself.
82 yards so far. 2nd and goal just outside the 1. Graham straight ahead.
I think he got in.
No signal. Berlin is saying touchdown, but you can see the referee and the linesman. Finally, the referee comes out of the pile with a touchdown call. So that is an exceptional opening drive for Florida.
Well, especially when you think they had 2nd and 3rd and real long. Can't tell from that shot whether he got in or not, but you know, he just threw the ball up down the sideline, and the play that the defensive man didn't make on the ball allowed the Gators to get that first score.
Jeff Chandler in for the point after, and Florida leads 7-0 on their opening drive of the night. 9 minutes and 51 seconds remaining in the first quarter. They take it nearly the length of the field and got in by that much. And the coach says touchdown. 7-0 Florida. Under Steve Spurrier, Florida doesn't lose too often when they put it on the board first, and they've got a touchdown. And they don't lose much at all with him as the head coach. You think of his success since '90, 121 wins, the only Florida national title, 6 SEC crowns, and the only guy that's ever gotten him 10-win seasons, and he's done it 8 times.
8 times out of 12 years.
That's something else.
And they could win. They could win 10 here tonight.
Yep. Well, they sure had a beautiful opening drive, 83 yards in just under 4 minutes. And Berlin actually had 83 yards. You say, now, wait a minute. They got it on the ground. Remember, there was a penalty mixed in there.
Yeah.
And a sack. So he actually ended up with as many yards through the air as the drive itself was. From the 9-yard line is Rich Parson. And he only got to about the 25 before he got popped again by the Gators special teams. We saw one of only 9 teams with the kind of balance they have with the ground in the air, and this is the guy Bob's talking about. And he goes out for 9, and you hear the chants of Bruce from the Maryland faithful. Perry, pickup of 9. He's the offensive player of the year in the ACC.
Early in the nation, he led the early in the season, led the nation in rushing. He had 6 100-yard games. Then the defenses start stacking the box in there. Now he finished the season with 40 receptions, so doing it a little bit different way.
2 tight end set for the Terps on a 2nd down and 1. They'll give it to Perry again. And this time wrapped up short of the 1st down. Alex Brown. Nice job from his defensive end position.
Yeah, this is one defense you don't want to run sideways on. You don't want to run east and west. Too much quickness. When the season-ending game against Tennessee got most of their yardage right up inside, right at the middle linebacker and those 2 inside linebackers.
Riley comes in now. For the Maryland backfield. And he's got the 1st down. Right off the right side, picked up about 4. Shaun Hill looks over the coaching staff and talked with us about what Ralph Friedgen has meant not only for this year, but getting ready for a bowl game.
I think it was very important for the team to put their faith in Coach Friedgen and have faith that he knew what he was doing and knew how to prepare us for a bowl game. Because like you said, none of us are used to this and have ever even experienced, even the smaller bowl games. And I think everybody believes in Coach Friedgen and believes that he knows how to get us ready to play.
Here's Perry on the option, and he only got about a yard. It was interesting, you and I and Swanee talking with Ralph Friedgen about the guys that he talked to. Now, he's been in bowl games, obviously. He's an offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. But just getting ready as a head coach, talking to other guys about, hey, where do we eat? How do we do this?
Said he called Bob Stoops at Oklahoma, a good buddy, and then also Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech, just to get some ideas. And they had their practices, and then they immediately had their meals right there at the practices after they had their showers. And then the team was free for the rest of the day, so that was a big help.
And, of course, Bob Stoops is the most recent guy that was here last year as they won the national championship down here in the FedEx Orange Bowl. Here's Perry, and he stretches out almost to the 45-yard line. It's going to bring up 3rd down and almost 4, at least a long 3.
Well, it's important for Maryland to hang on to the ball a little bit. They made a 1st down. It's important to keep Florida's offense off the field and their defense off the field to build a little momentum. You don't have to score. Just build some confidence in your offense.
They've run it 5 straight times. This would appear to be a passing situation. 3rd down and 3. And Hill's in trouble. Got away from the rush. Still looking for a receiver. Now he puts his head down and he gets taken down before he could get to the 1st down marker, and Akendo Johnson tracked him all the way across the field.
He'll lose that race every time. When they talk about Shaun's speed, they say he has deceptive speed.
That means he's not fast at all.
And when you got these linebackers chasing him, he knows he's going to lose that race. There was nobody open downfield.
Bernard hit a 60-yarder the last time he put his foot into it. He'd like to take a little bit off this one and keep it out of the end zone. Again, it's a line drive. Shepard waits on it. He'll take a risk at the 16, and it was worth the risk. Lito Shepard out across the 30 to about the 34-yard line. The wide receivers that Swanee was talking about. Look at that. Over 1,000 for both.
That totals 170 receptions and 30 touchdowns receiving by those 3 guys.
Not a bad group. 2nd down and short. 2 to go for Florida. They lead by a touchdown. Play action. Berlin loads and goes deep into double coverage, and it's intercepted. Randall Jones going the other way from his safety spot, and Jones got a block across the 40. And there's what they've done as well as anybody all year, and that's pick up interceptions and return them this one 30 yards.
Watch at the top of your screen. This is a ball that should not be thrown. How do you throw this ball when the free safety's in? He's trying to hit the receiver over here on the side. That's the center fielder. That's a poor read by Brock Berlin. And a nice return. And like we said in the opening, the defense has to set the tone for the offense.
Randall Jones with the pick. his 5th of the season. And now that sets up Maryland in great shape because they're at the Gator 37. And now the Maryland fans have come to life. Play action for Hill. He might want it all right here. Deep middle. And it's intercepted by the Gators. Andre Davis, the middle linebacker, picks off the tipped ball.
He's going for Jafar Williams. This ball is a little bit poorly thrown. I think he was throwing it for the other receiver running behind him.
Might have been Julian Gary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was throwing it for Gary behind Williams. Got his hand on it. Andre gets his 2nd interception of the season. Let's go back and take a look at the interception. He's trying to get the ball to Gary, who's running a route down here. The man who's going to tip it is here. It was a play-action fake, and they're trying to hold the linebacker, which they don't do with the fake. He holds him initially right there. Then he gets back and gets a piece of it. That's 2 receivers too close together, and the ball would have been completed to the deeper receiver if he hadn't jumped up and knocked it down.
And Andre Davis, who wasn't even playing this time last year, major knee injury, rehab that was very grueling. He said that and his baby daughter Alicia being born last December kind of changed his whole life and how he looked at things. Here's Berlin. He's looking at things through red and white jerseys. Down he goes at about the 24-yard line. Here's our AT&T player comparison when you talk about Rex Grossman and Brock Berlin. Grossman, the runner-up to the Heisman. Berlin, the guy that got the start tonight.
Berlin 9-1 as a backup, actually. You know, he as we mentioned, he got good numbers when earlier in the season in the SEC. These 2 guys were 1 and 2 in the pass efficiency. Berlin didn't finish with enough attempts to stay up there, but Steve likes him. Spurrier likes him. There's some talk about maybe leaving school after the end of the year because they're both sophomores. Right. And he wants to play, and there's been some talk that he might go to Texas Tech or Miami, and that he's leaning toward Miami. And as he said, some people have said that there's been all kind of speculation that Steve's playing him, starting him tonight, only because he wants to keep him in school. Well, that's not the case. Steve has said, I'll sign a release. You can go anywhere you want to go, SEC, Florida State, Miami. They're good buddies. They like it. Berlin likes it at Florida. He just wants to play.
Blitz coming again, and he got away from one, throws on the run, and it's complete, and it's going to be a first down out at the 35, almost the 36-yard line. He got it to Taylor Jacobs, who's having a huge first quarter already. 4 catches for Jacobs.
Bob, I love the way these receivers come back to the ball. This quarterback is scrambling here, and the receivers are constantly looking for a way to get in front of the quarterback, get in front of his eyes. It was one thing that was missing from Maryland's offense when Hill was scrambling around.
Jacobs, 4 catches, 2 of them on 3rd down, and now it's first down Florida. At the 45, first down. Graham, left side, and still on his feet. Oh, he's dragging guys with him. He looks good for a guy who had a bad knee up until just recently when it was announced that he was going to be healthy enough to start. Our great views of the Orange Bowl brought to you by Monster.com's Blimp. High atop Pro Player Stadium. Sold out Orange Bowl, over 75,000 on hand. And Maryland sold about 23,000 tickets, and they've been kind of quiet. That interception had them aroused, but now it's Florida still with the lead, 7-0. Second down, a short 2. Berlin, plenty of time. Deep ball's got a man wide open and got him. Touchdown, Taylor Jacobs. 5th catch for Jacobs. This one's good for a touchdown.
Straight down the field. The corner's playing the outside, doesn't get a jam. The safety doesn't get out there. The safety Stewart says you got to jam him a little bit. I ain't got that much speed.
But Jacobs did have, and he's been the big guy of the three amigos tonight. The touchdown and the extra point by Chandler's good. And it's 14-0 Florida. There he is next to his coach.
Steve's not sure that he's going to leave. He's talked about wanting to play. Grossman has 2 more years of eligibility, as does Berlin. Berlin has not been redshirted, so he could transfer to another school, sit out a redshirt year, and still have 2 years to play.
And, of course, the other train of thought that a lot of people have mentioned is if Grossman has the kind of numbers next year that he had this year, you would assume he'd go to the next level. And why not sit out at Florida and redshirt there, and then when Grossman leaves, come in and have 2 years as a Gator quarterback?
I was kidding Rex the other day. I said, Rex, if you would just tell Brock that you were only going to play 1 more year
It'd solve everything.
and go to the NFL, Berlin can redshirt, and he'd have 2 more years in Florida.
High short kick.
He didn't think too much of that.
No, he didn't like that one. From the 19, Randall Jones got out across the 30 on the short kick. And the guy that's made the biggest play of the night for Maryland, number 12, got the kick return out in some decent shape now for the Maryland offense. But it's time now for the Terps offense to kick in, because they're down 2 scores and we've got only 3 seconds remaining. The last play of the first quarter will be upcoming. Lynch, the fullback, is directly behind Hill, and Perry now will move in motion. And off play action, Hill's got a man wide open, and this is going to be a touchdown. Jafar Williams for Maryland, 64 yards. That was picture perfect. That's how Ralph Friedgen drew it up.
This is exactly what Maryland needs in the way they've played. The fear of the option, they've run the option 2 or 3 times, and Florida has stopped it. But just the fear of it opened up the middle.
The longest pass play allowed by Florida all year. The extra point is up and good by Nick Novak. And the first quarter comes to a close with a bang. Jafar Williams runs by everybody, and Hill put it right on him. 64 yards and a Maryland touchdown. And then he points to the crowd, most of them down in that corner that he was running toward. So the Terps are right back in it. They spotted Florida 2 scores, but they've got a quick strike of their own at the end of 1. It's Florida leading Maryland 14-7. For Jafar Williams, a career long catch on the 64-yard grab. Novak's kick. Ratliff will take it at the 2. And dances his way to about the 20, maybe cross the 20, and that's where he's put down. Cochran on the special teams made the stop. Here's a quick throw, screen. Out to Caldwell. Riche Caldwell. And he's got a first down, picked up about 12.
Now, Bob and Brad, Bob, I know you don't necessarily agree with me, but with Berlin in this ball game, I think it was just what Florida needed. They were down because they're not out in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. They're coming into this game looking for a little motivation. I think the fact that Brock Berlin ends up being the starting quarterback was just enough of a spark to put this team on edge and make them play a little bit better in this first half.
You're right. I don't agree with you.
That's why we all get along so well. And now in trouble, and down he goes. Second sack, as Berlin couldn't find a receiver, and Feldheim got to him.
And the reason I don't agree with Swanee, because I think if Rex Grossman were in the ball game, they would have 2 touchdowns on the board. Maybe a little bit differently, some other way, but I think where Florida may get in trouble is in the second half if this game gets close and Maryland's taking it to them. But we haven't seen that yet. Berlin is lucky to get back on that football. Maryland, like we said in the opening, has thrived on turning the ball over for their offense.
Gillespie in at the tailback spot. They fake it to him. Berlin comes up firing again. The out on this side incomplete. Intended for Caldwell, and again they got some pressure on him. And it brings up 3rd down and long.
This Maryland defense led the ACC in fewest points allowed, in interceptions, sacking the quarterback, takeaways. They're a good football team. And nobody seems to give them any credit, but they did win the Atlantic Coast Conference.
5 wideouts. So far, Jacobs, who's been the star of the group, and he's down to the bottom of your screen. And Berlin will work from the gun. Maryland backs out and comes with a 3-man rush, and Berlin deep and intercepted. And Maryland's got it down the sideline. O'Conlon tipped it. They're inside the 5.
Wilson comes away with it. He's the one that got beat before. And they say he tried the same route. They tried to straight down the sideline, trying to throw him the ball. This time, the defensive backs take it away. O'Conlon is number 11. He gets it first, and then Wilson gets the tip ball. Huge play for the Maryland defense.
All the way down to the 3-yard line.
This is what Florida does. They did it the time before when it was long yardage. Steve Spurrier said, just throw it up, and our offensive man, if he has to, will play a defensive back and protect from the interception. That didn't happen.
Opportunity to tie things up. 1st and goal, Maryland. Riley's the tailback. He gets the call, but he's dragged down. Actually lost a yard. Grossman's warming up on the sideline. But right now, it's Maryland's fans that are warming to a possibility of a 14-14 game here in the 2nd quarter.
And Ralph knows that he says that this is the best team we've played all year. Athletically, we can't compare with them. But we got to do our thing.
Here's the option again. Riley on the pitch this time. And again, he ran into a Gator wall. Travis Carroll, the middle linebacker, made the stop.
And Riley is in there because he is 6'3" and 220 pounds. Perry is a short guy, a little small guy, a lot of speed. But when you get down in this area, they like the big back.
So it's 3rd down and goal. 2 wide receivers in there, including Gary. They've thrown that pin route thing to him for some big touchdowns in this area. Hill rolls, and he's got to throw it away.
Good play. Get the quarterback out, get some options. And Ralph told him if it's not there, just pitch it in the 2nd row. We'll kick a field goal. You hate to come away from when you get a great play like this on the other team's 3-yard line, not to get 7 points out of it.
Nick Novak is 16 out of 25 on the year. He's hit 12 of his last 14. Had a terrible start to the season and then became an instant celebrity when Florida beat Georgia Tech, as he had a 46-yarder to send it to OT, and he won it in overtime. And now he's lined up 20-yard field goal attempt to try to cut into Florida's lead.
And a tough angle.
Got it up and good. So they don't get 7, but the interception does net him a field goal.
Talking with Gary Blackney before the ball game, he wanted us to say hello to his wife, Loretta, who is recovering from some medical problems, and she said she always watches the games and always wants us to do well, and so wanted us to send a special hello to Loretta.
So Loretta in the Silver Spring Center, we wish you a happy new year and send you all our very best.
All the best. Gary was head coach at the Montreal Alouettes for a couple of years before he came down here.
Kite with the kick return, broke a tackle, still on his feet, now cuts to the outside, and he's all the way out to the 40-yard line. Good looking return. And here comes the first team All-American quarterback into the game for the first time tonight. Rex Grossman takes over for the Florida Gators. 1st down. Nice play fake by Grossman. Plenty of time throwing short. And Henderson is all over Gillespie. Pickup of about 3. E.J. Henderson, it seems like I've called his name every time there's been a collision. And that's why he led the ACC in tackles with 150. As Bob said, led everybody in tackles for loss, 28. 6 sacks. He gets around the ball.
He had some back problems that were not made public coming into this ball game for the last week and a half.
Here's a throw and a completion, first down. Gillespie out inside the 40 to the 39, a pickup of 13.
Gillespie caught 10 passes in the last game against Tennessee. For the year, he caught, what did he catch? He got 41 for the year, 10 of them in the last game, so a nice target. Both backs, Gillespie and Bruce Perry, catch a lot of balls out of the backfield.
And Gillespie has caught 3 already on this drive as he gets a quick breather on the sideline. Just over 4 minutes left in the half. 14 to 10, Florida. Grossman, straight drop. Fires across the middle, short again. And this is the fullback. Rob Roberts has got it close to the first down, and Rob Roberts does not handle the ball very often, because if you're a Florida fullback, it's kind of like being with you know, the merry men of Robin Hood without owning a bow.
Yeah. There were 5 guys out on that route, and Rob Roberts was the 5th choice, I guarantee you. He looked downfield to the 2 receivers, tight end was covered, and the other back was covered, dumped it off to Rob Roberts. You need somebody in that role, though.
Absolutely.
A blocker and a safety valve if everybody else is covered.
First down. Florida at the 28 of Maryland. Grossman again loads it and fires behind his intended receiver that time, and it was Taylor Jacobs who's had such a huge first half, and that was thrown behind him.
Yeah, that was way behind him. This one is just whether he was expecting him to go somewhere else. The ball didn't slip. I mean, Taylor Jacobs is running a slant. And that ball was so badly thrown that O'Conlon couldn't catch it. I think Jacobs throwing the run route right there. When the coach
kind of tells a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said you had it wide open. There was a post corner. If you had it out there, you would have had it.
Grossman 4 out of 6. Now 5 of 7. He's got his tight end Troop again. Another Gator first down. Ben Troop, the sophomore out of Augusta, Georgia, got a first. He got to knock some of the mud out of that helmet.
That's right. That's what happens.
We had some showers earlier today. Field in good shape. The Dolphins played here on Sunday against Atlanta, so it's the second football game of the week for this facility. 9th play of the Gator drive. And another first down. Now they come straight ahead with Graham. Only got about 2. Our Tostitos team comparison so far.
Well, you can see how Florida gets it done offensively. They don't get it done running. They're 85th in the nation rushing. They're pretty good otherwise.
You're not kidding.
Maryland, they got a pretty balanced attack, although their passing is not as good as, certainly not as Florida's.
That passing attack does have 1 Maryland touchdown tonight, though. That's their only touchdown. The other, a field goal of Novak. That's where we stand. And again, Henderson steps into that gap. Here he comes. Grossman to throw to the end zone. Jacobs touchdown. His second of the night. I think it's a coming out party for Taylor Jacobs. We said they had 3 amigos, and Trace is doing it tonight.
Yeah. So sometimes it just goes to the guy that lines up in that position. You know, they get a lot of attention to Gaffney, and you get a lot of Richey Caldwell gets a lot of attention, so sometimes the third guy is the guy.
Chandler's extra point is good, and with 2:18 left in the quarter, the Gators have added another touchdown, this time courtesy of Rex Grossman, and he throws a strike here. 15 yards as he loads it and puts it right where it needed to be to number 6, who's having a career night. Jacobs' second touchdown catch. 7 receptions in all here in the first half. Shaun Hill looking on. Petrovic set to kick away. One of the only straight-on kickers you'll find anywhere in the world, I'm sure. There he comes straight into it, high and short again. PARSON from the 10. And only got to the 20 and then got swarmed under.
For as short as that kick was, not a very good kick return.
Not at all. Maryland will have it back on offense, though, with 2:09 to work when we come back to Miami. Maryland looking for its 11th win of the season, but right now they're down 11 to Florida after Grossman's touchdown pass to Jacobs.
Impressive drive, Rex Grossman.
Here's a throw, complete. Out to Jafar Williams, who has Maryland's only touchdown tonight. Pickup of 8.
Zone route by zone pass coverage. Williams just goes down and stops. Picks up about 7 yards. You get 2 minutes and 4 seconds to move it down. At least get a field goal on the board here.
Second down and a long 2. Hill, quick drop, quick throw. Parsons got it, and he's got a first down.
And Parsons is the speed guy. He's a true freshman that they've worked in there over the course of the season. Came in with 11 receptions. He'll be around here doing some good things for a long time.
Freshman out of Newark, Delaware. And the first down, they move the sticks out across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. Hill now from the gun. Fires. That one probably should have been caught. I don't know if Williams didn't see that coming or what.
One or the other, but they didn't hook up.
Well, he probably should have seen it, because Maryland spends an inordinate amount of time worrying about the last 2 minutes of the ball game. And the reason being is that Ralph Friedgen watched John Wooden coach his basketball team many, many years ago, and he saw how John Wooden really worried about the end of the game scenarios and spent a lot of time. So he said from that moment on, he spent a lot of time in his playbook worrying about the last 2 minutes of a ball game.
And if they had not executed the last 2 minutes against North Carolina State, they wouldn't be here. Dangerous throw to Perry, and he got planted on a form tackle by Benny Alexander.
That's tough. That's tough when Shaun HIll is looking to his right, making his reads, and then his outlet is all the way over to his left, and that's what happened. And he just served up Bruce Perry.
With 1:41, a timeout taken by Maryland. Benny Alexander making his 36th career start. He's seen all this before. Joe Willie Nick.
He's in the Hall of Honor here at the Orange Bowl.
He was with us, what, 2 years ago in the booth?
A couple years ago. Yeah, old Joe. He's a good guy.
Here's Hill. Under pressure, and he ran right into a sack. Waited too long, and Gus Scott came from the secondary, fought off a block, and that might do in Maryland's chance to get points before halftime.
Gus Scott is quite a playmaker. Number 9. He's had some blocks this year, and he's got 5 sacks now. He's a strong safety. In fact, that strong safety position's got 8 sacks on the year.
And he doesn't start, and he's our number 2 tackler.
Yeah.
Bernard's kick. Another beauty.
Great kick.
This one goes out of bounds, though, and let's see where they're going to spot it. Maybe it wasn't as good as we thought. That thing sailed and sailed and sailed. He hit it a mile long, but he hit it way left. Worse than I thought. I'll take it back.
Ooh.
They're going to spot it at the 36. There's the screen again. That's worked for both teams pretty well tonight. It gets about 9 more yards for Taylor Jacobs, who's had a career night in the first half. He just keeps adding to those career marks. He's got 8 catches, does Jacobs, 2 for touchdowns, and 147 yards. Not a bad 30 minutes of work.
And, you know, they talk about some of these receivers going to the NFL early. He is not one of them.
Nope. He's a junior. What a strike that was.
That's a little bit, that's something that Berlin cannot do. I mean, just moving forward in the pocket, sliding around, keeping it alive, and then just flicking the ball about 25 yards on a rope down the middle of the field.
Perez, a 23-yard gain. Timeout, 1 each remaining. Maryland's defense trying to hold on now against the right arm of Grossman. First down, Gators at the Terps 35. Rex set to throw again. Got some heat from Henderson that time, and he's intercepted.
Dropped it.
Oh, he dropped it. Jerome Cox, and he's holding the sides of his helmet because he should have had it.
Should have had it. Cox has got 3 interceptions on the year, Grossman had to throw this ball, had to get rid of it.
I think it was E.J. Henderson putting the heat on him again.
Here comes E.J. number 42.
Ooh, got one hand and
almost
trying to tuck it into his midsection and couldn't hold it. 33 seconds left in the quarter. 2nd and 10. Grossman in trouble again. Throws short over the middle on a crossing pattern. He's got Gaffney. And Jabbar's down to the 20. That's a first down. Down to 25 seconds.
Nice.
Remember, they got one timeout left. They'll move the sticks, and that'll stop the clock momentarily.
Grossman kept it alive, stepped up in the pocket, looking downfield, and just gave it to his receiver.
Jacobs, Caldwell, and Perez all out to his left. And now the clock runs again on first down. Fires complete. Down to the 5.
Great throw.
Hoggebrook.
Just a great throw there.
16 yards on the play and 8 seconds remaining. And they're going to take that last time out. Ooh, had some smoke on that one. So they're down to the 5. They've got 8 seconds remaining. 8 seconds left in the half. 1st and goal at the 4. They'll work from the gun and go to the end zone. Should have 2 plays here. Grossman lofts it. Touchdown. Jabbar Gaffney. And they do it with time to spare. Four-yard scoring toss to Gaffney.
I was out of practice the other day, and they spent about 15-20 minutes throwing from the own 10-yard line into the end zone, working on different routes, different passes.
Florida had 321 passing yards. They used both their quarterbacks. Both were effective. And they lead it by a score of 28-10 as they head to the locker room. And we head down to Lynn Swan. Swanee?
Coach, when you made the change with Rex Grossman for Brock Berlin, was it because Brock had played what you had described as a set amount of time, or was there another reason?
We thought it was time to put Rex in. Brock, he did some good things, but he struggled a little bit. And Rex has played the whole year, so we thought it was time to put him in.
Will Rex continue to play in the second half?
Yeah, Rex is in.
Last question. Will that change alone, or is there something else your team needs to do to cut out the turnovers?
Yeah, don't fumble. We hadn't thrown many interceptions, one careless, but just hang on the ball a little better.
Okay, Coach. Thank you.
All right, guys, halftime in Miami. And we're going to head out west. We'll be back with more of our Orange Bowl halftime show. First, it's John and Terry at Disneyland Resort in California. Maryland and Florida in the 68 FedEx Orange Bowl. A fired-up group of Terrapins, and they hung in tough with the number 5 team in the country through much of the first half, but missed opportunities and a 2-quarterback system that's worked to perfection for the Gators. And even Steve Spurrier happy about the last touchdown pass that came with 3 seconds left in the second quarter. Brad Nessler and Bob Greasy back with you along with Lynn Swan. Maryland is doing what they wanted to do. They picked off a couple passes, but you got to turn them into points.
Well, defensively coming in, we said if they had a chance to win, the defense had to set the tone. 3 turnovers by Maryland only led to 3 points. And Florida, you know, this 2-quarterback system, they've done that before, and it's working for them again here tonight.
And they're going to have the ball first to start the third quarter. And this one goes out of bounds, and so they're going to have great field position courtesy of the out-of-bounds kick. Our Morgan Stanley storyline. Brock Berlin started the game, threw a touchdown pass, had a couple of picks. Grossman then came in deep into the second quarter and immediately went 11 out of 14, 125 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And there's the key, the bottom one there for Maryland. Only 3 points off of the 3 turnovers. You got to do better than that.
Yep. They had a fumble recovery and 2 interceptions.
You know what that speaks to? That's called sudden change. And for Florida defensively to go out in a sudden change situation and to shut the other team down That's big, and John Hoke, the defensive coordinator, got to be very happy about that.
Grossman wants to throw on first down and throws it away. Fullback Roberts was out there, but pressure came from Henderson. Let's check in with Swanee.
Guys, when I talked to Ralph Frazier, all the things that you had said are absolutely correct, and he verified those things. So we got to take better chances. We got to do better jobs with the opportunities we have on the turnovers. But what really irked him was he said we are not executing and we're missing assignments. He said we haven't missed assignments all year long the way we're missing them this afternoon. If we continue to do that, we won't be in the ball game. So he wants his team to just stay the course. He believes they can move the ball, just better execution.
Two things there, Swanee. 46 days since they played the last time. This is the first bowl game any of these players have ever been in.
Grossman on second down. Fires complete. This one's tight, knocked out of bounds, and he might have the first down. He's awfully close. Had to get to the 45, and that's exactly where they're standing. But you see Rex Grossman saying we're about that far short.
Steve Spurrier, the system that he puts in, the passing, not only with the quarterbacks, but the routes they run, everything else. You see everybody kind of getting around Steve. He wants to block the signals from the other side of the field so they can't pick them up.
Grossman may have said we got the first down by that much, because they did. At the 45. Graham now. Whew, man, that's got to be Henderson in the middle of that pack. He ran into somebody that stood him straight up. Could have been Leon Joe, the outside linebacker. It was number 32.
EJ, 42. Just plays off the fullback and makes the play.
They were both there. He's been involved in a lot of hits tonight. The 18-point halftime deficit, by the way, is Maryland's largest of the year. And Florida's 28 points are the most by a Maryland opponent in the first half this year. Grossman lofts it. Nice touch. Out of bounds. First down. Jabbar Gaffney. That thing needed a little more touch than it did Smoke, and he knew how to throw that one too.
He did. This is very tough. Rolling to your left, turning all the way back to your right. Gaffney, only a sophomore, 27 touchdowns in his first 23 games. Hello.
Pretty incredible. One of the finalists for the Butkus Award. There's a first down story. 20-6. Little flea flicker. Grossman's got it back.
Not there.
And he finally throws, and it is out of bounds. Mike Whaley came in and got some pressure.
You know, quarterbacks hate to do that. I mean, there was nobody open. They had the flea flicker guy was down in the end zone. They hate to throw an incompletion. You know what? You know, they just say throw it away, get it away, and that was almost a late hit on the sideline, but he should have thrown that ball away about 3 or 4 seconds sooner. I tried to tell my son that.
Get rid of it.
And he doesn't listen. Of course, when I think back to when I was playing, I didn't do it either.
That's right. Second down at the 41.
Don't listen.
Pressure coming from the corner maybe. Here comes a blitz. Grossman find himself some time and found a receiver. Short of the first down, I think, by just a bit. It was Taylor Jacobs again.
Bob and Brad, you may notice a little change on the offensive line. The starting center, Zach Zendalis, number 74, is now playing guard, and 54, David Jorgensen, is playing at center. That's because number 75, Shannon Snell, sprained his left ankle and will not be back in the ball game. Also, Rand Carthen, number 33, sprained his back, the fullback, and he will not be back in the second half.
Okay, Swanee, thanks for the update there. Zendalis has played a lot of guard on the season. Graham, little quick opening draw that didn't open at all. Nice job defensively. Randy Starks was there.
Maryland had a little corner blitz. Number 30, Cox, coming from the short side of the field. For Maryland to get back into this ball game, the same is true. First, they got to stop Rex Grossman. 2 series he's been in, 2 touchdowns, and they need to take it away and get some points. Their offense got to go down and score with it.
Well, they stopped Graham for a 3-yard loss, so it brings up second down and 13. Jacobs and Caldwell to the near side. Gaffney out to the left. Grossman fires complete. Jacobs again. He's going to be in double figures pretty soon catching the football. He is in double figures catching the football. That's his 10th catch of the night.
Watch him go down, just go to hook. Goes inside the defensive back Wilson. Well, Rex Grossman's got a strong arm, and he's very, very accurate. And when you put those two things together and he slides around in the pocket, buys some time, he's got 2 more years of eligibility to work on improving. Steve says he needs to work on decisions and also getting rid of the football.
And right now, Maryland needs to work on tackling because Graham just dragged some people with him down to a 1st and goal at the 6. You saw Jacobs as he went off an Orange Bowl record receiving night already. And now here comes the cavalry.
Yeah.
And he charges all the way down to the 6. 1st and goal Gators. They lead 28-10. Maryland needs a stop. They need a turnover. They need something to go right because their defense is being pushed around now by the Florida offense. Graham straight up the middle. Touchdown, Florida. Yards. Nice blocking, good power running, and it's a touchdown Gator. Chandler in for the point after. Florida's all-time leading scorer. Chandler, the kicker, got another extra point up and good. 11 minutes, 22 seconds. The FedEx Orange Bowl is all orange and blue right now. Graham on the ground, they do it this time. And the Gators lead the Terrapins 35-10. So now it's a 35-10 hole that the Turtles find themselves in. And they're going to have to snap back. The Terrapins need to open up everything to try to get back in the game. And again, the kick return is nothing to write home about. Barely got him to the 20. Who's Perry? Had he been able to pull out of that tackle, he might have been off to a big gainer, but Kennard Ellis was holding on for dear life. Our game summary. It's 35-10 Florida. 364 passing yards. Berlin was pretty good when he was in there. And Grossman has been even better.
Yeah, Berlin 6 possessions and 2 touchdowns, and 3 touchdowns on 3 possessions for Rex Grossman.
2nd down at 5. Hill option the pitch to Perry. And he gets what he can, but he can't get a 1st down. Todd Johnson made the tackle from the secondary, and he's made a lot of them back there, number 26 this year.
Todd Johnson is a 2-time All-SEC performer. He led this team in tackles last year when Andre Davis was injured. He's a free safety that just runs from sideline to sideline.
And over 100 tackles last year, had 72 coming into this one. He stops Perry short of the 1st. It's 3rd down and 4. Hill getting some heat. And now trying to weave his way through it. And I don't think he got the 1st down. He's about 2 feet short, I think. Maybe even more than that. Alex Brown, number 13, looking on there. He's the guy that shoestringed him. And Shaun tried to scamper out of that trouble and get a 1st down. And they're short because here comes the punting unit.
Yeah. And you got to kick it. There's no question here. You got to kick it away. John Hoke, the defensive coordinator right there. Brother Brady is a defensive line coach at the University of Michigan.
Time to punt. Bernard. This is not as good a kick as his first couple. Does take a Maryland bounce. Goes out of bounds at about the 26-yard line.
Yeah.
Draw play. Graham. And he's got plenty of room. Ernest on the run inside the 40. All the way down to the 27-yard line. Now it's coming from everywhere. 35-yard run by Graham.
The only 2 games that Florida lost this year,
He didn't play.
Ernest Graham did not play. You know, he's not a part of their passing game. He is their running game, though. And that's what it means to have a guy that can run the football. As much as you can throw it, you still need to be able to run it.
He had a touchdown on their last drive, and he just got him a huge first down at the 26. 114 yards for Graham now. Everybody get into the offensive flow. Grossman had a little trouble with the snap. No trouble with the throw. Whew. He put some Zuzu on that one to Gaffney.
He's a homeboy, you know. He's from Bloomington, Indiana.
He's an Indiana kid.
Huh? Here's your 2 receivers. Caldwell to the outside. Gaffney. This is not a tough route. I mean, it's just a 2-man route, and they run it so well. I mean, they've been running this all day. I mean, this is
catch.
This is elementary.
Down to the 11-yard line. Gillespie draw play. Nice spin. Double spin. Inside the 10. He's in. Touchdown. What a run.
Highlight film right there.
Two great moves. Both spins bought him a little bit of room. Steve Spurrier just smiling. Watch this run.
You don't teach this stuff. This is instinctive. That one was first, then another one. He says, I'll do it again. And this will definitely be on the Florida Gators highlight film right here.
Wow, the dancing in the halftime show wasn't any better than that. Extra point is good. Robert Gillespie. One more time.
He's not big. He's only 5'9".
11 yards for the touchdown. It is 42-10 Gators. Gillespie with some great dance moves a moment ago for his 11-yard touchdown. And you even saw the reaction of Steve Spurrier as we went to break with that look of, wow.
He said, I don't know where he got those, but he didn't get that from my teaching.
Rich PARSON is back deep. Matt Petrovich to kick. Again, high kick. PARSON from the 7. Trying to get ahead of steam now. The steam was taken out of him in a hurry. Petrovich, the kicker, got down there and made the hit.
You can't say enough about all the years he waited for a head coaching job. All the jobs that were passed by. And finally he gets one back at his alma mater, and he just turns the program around.
Isn't it amazing that a guy that, as they got the first down on 4th down, you obviously saw, waited 32 years as an assistant to become a head coach, and Larry Coker waited all those years as an assistant, and he's got his team in the national championship game tomorrow. Hill off play action. Look out from behind. Hit by Alex Brown, and they're going to say incomplete pass. Alex has been waiting to come flying around that corner all night. He's been close. He's had a hold of him. He's had a hold of his feet, and finally he gets a pop on him here.
From the top of your screen, he runs around Brooks. It was pretty close.
Boy, you're not kidding.
It was pretty close.
More like a fumble than a pass to me, but let's get another angle. Well, they give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess.
That's a judgment call by the referee right behind him.
So Maryland may have gotten a break there, and now Hill from the gun on 2nd down. Steps up and fires back. Nice throw. Gary spins across the 50. Julian Gary, their leading receiver, a 20-yard pickup. His 2nd catch of the night.
Gary just sits down in the open area. Nice pitch and catch. We're talking about Shaun Hill. You know, he was only under this system with Ralph Friedgen for 1 year. He's played with for the last 3 years, he's had 3 different offensive systems. That's like learning 3 different languages that you have to call plays on.
Here's the option. The late pitch a little bit low, but handled pretty well by Rich PARSON. And Run out of bounds at about the 43. And, you know, Shaun Hill says, man, I'm agreeing with Coach Friedgen. I wish I could be around another year, too.
I'd really enjoy to stick around with these guys, you know, for some more, you know, a couple more years and see what they could do with myself. I feel like I've developed tremendously in the last 12 months as a quarterback, just under their tutelage. And I know that I have a lot to learn, and I have really, you know, a long ways to go, you know, in becoming a quarterback. I feel like I'm a very young senior, if that's possible.
And good line, a very young senior. They go straight ahead, fullback Chad Killian. And now Maryland's got a little bit of something going here as they mix up their offense pretty well. Pickup of 9 by the fullback.
The Fridge said about Hill, he says, I only regret that I don't have another year or two to work with him because he is bright and he's intelligent. And I think Ralph Friedgen can turn any gifted athlete with some ability into a pretty good quarterback.
Gives it off to Riley. That didn't work for much. Only got about 2 yards. But Shaun Hill was not recruited basically by anybody. There's a couple teams that were considering him as a punter. He went to Hutchinson, Kansas Community College. He had to beat 6 other quarterbacks out of the job just to get to the point he's at. And then coming to Maryland. And he's out of a little town in Kansas, Parsons, Kansas. And I know everybody in Parsons is watching tonight. I say little hometown. Heck, it's 4 times bigger than my hometown. 12,000 people.
St. Charles.
Here's Hill. Quick throw. Got it out to his tight end. Matt Murphy knocked out of bounds by Benny Alexander. And it's going to bring up 3rd down at about 5.
Hey, Brad, just a little add-on to that story about Shaun Hill. You know, even though he got recruited to Maryland, and Maryland came to that little junior college, they weren't looking for Shaun Hill. They were looking for another player, and the coach said, hey, I got a quarterback.
Yep.
Think you can take him?
They were looking for a DB. And all of a sudden, he found a home, and he found a system, and he found a first-year coach. And they found 10 wins along the way to win the ACC title. 3rd down and 5. This is 2-down territory for them. They give it to Perry. Well, maybe it's not. Man, he got handed his helmet right there on the play by Aquendo Johnson. Marcus, who started at defensive end tonight, he's basically a linebacker, an outside linebacker playing that defensive end spot.
3 of the top 4 defensive ends for Florida are out for one reason or another. That's why they moved the linebacker, Aquendo Johnson.
Darrell Lee out with a wrist injury, and Kennard Ellis had a knee scope. And so they are a little bit thin at that spot. And of course, they got one of the great ones in Alex Brown on the other side.
4th down.
They're going, and here they come. Blitz coming from Florida. Hill running for his life, had it batted down, and it's Alex Brown, who I just mentioned. Florida will take over on downs. Well, they sent the house after Shaun, and it paid off. Try as he might, he couldn't buy himself enough time, and he couldn't get it over the long arms of number 13. Florida takes over when we come back. Not as much for Maryland backers to cheer about than they had hoped. 42-10 they trail here with 3:11 left in the 3rd quarter. And part of the problem for Maryland has been going up against a Florida defense that has been relentless. They have chased and battered Shaun Hill.
Florida's offense gets all of the attention, but this defense is ranked in the top 15 nationally in every defensive category.
They've intercepted Hill. They've knocked him down. Gus Scott with a hit there. And also Benny Alexander, part of a form-perfect defense for Florida tonight in this FedEx Orange Bowl.
And John Hoke is the defensive coordinator.
He's in the middle of that somewhere.
Yeah, he's in there.
1st and 10 now for the offense. Grossman on the give to Graham, who's already over 100 yards, and he's got way more than that. Ernest down the sideline, all the way down near the 33-yard line.
Ernest hadn't played for a while.
He's hungry. 35 more yards for him.
He's been out injured, talking to lawyers and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's been busy. Of course,
but he's running good tonight.
Yes, he is.
And we're glad to see it.
You bet. Season high for Graham, 149 yards. Picked a nice night to do it.
Yeah, we're glad to see it, not because it's against Maryland, but because he had an injured knee and was out for a while, and the uncertainty of whether he was going to need surgery.
Grossman, Gaffney, touchdown. 33 yards, right on the money. Would you say everybody's in the act?
Maybe Gaffney's going to go straight down the field. Maybe Spurrier should bench Grossman every game. He's played 5 possessions and has 5 TDs. He is, what is he? He's 18 of 23, 230 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Chandler's extra point is good. With 2:52 left, there's the third one up close and personal. Gaffney from 33 yards out. It's 49-10 Gators. But right now his team's 39 down with just under 3 to go here in the third quarter. You don't get a lot of respect for what you've done, even if you did a good job. Mike Nattiel makes the hit on Riley.
I see where head coach Spurrier is going to be the offensive coordinator for Bob Stoops
in the Hula Bowl.
The Hula Bowl.
That ought to be interesting.
Yeah.
And Steve said, well, I reckon he'll let me call the ball plays, and pretty much anything I want to call, he'll probably let me.
Leave it to he'll handle the defense, and if you want to go for it on 4th down, he'd probably let me go, and if he doesn't, that's okay too.
2nd down and 9. Hill down the middle, got his tight end Murphy again. Matt's 2nd catch of this quarter, and it might bring the quarter to a close.
Just before it drops down, Brad, let me tell you that whatever Maryland's going to do, they may have to do it without Bruce Perry. He has re-injured that abdominal strain, and he is very, very questionable as to whether he'll come back.
Okay, that was a big question mark up until the past 4 days or so, whether or not he was going to be healthy enough to go. And he did start. He did some nice things. Here's a streak down the sideline, incomplete. And that will bring the third quarter to a close. Another quarter that belonged to the Gators as they've stretched their lead now to 49-10. ABC Sports presentation of the FedEx Orange Bowl will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Our FedEx ground and air stats tonight. Florida's ground game, mostly Ernest Graham. Well over 100-yard night and 2 touchdowns. Maryland held to 69. And our air stats, well, as you might guess, Florida way over their average for each game. They average 405 a game. 425 tonight is an Orange Bowl record. Shaun Hill to throw. Crossing pattern has Jafar Williams, and he's down to about the 35-yard line. That's a 1st down. Todd Johnson made the tackle at the end of the play. Jafar Williams had a 64-yard touchdown catch earlier in the ball game.
Yeah, he's actually probably feeling very fortunate to be able to play this game. At one time, his whole body cramps up so bad he couldn't go out and play. People very often thought his life was in jeopardy his freshman year. Found out he just got overexcited, so he has to take medications so he stays calmer, Brett.
Yep, just before each game, and it works, and it worked very well for him this year. He caught 39 passes coming in. This time it's Darryl Whitmer. And there's Perry. As Swanee said, his night is probably done. He's putting his helmet back on as though he's trying to let us know he's maybe ready, but he's got the pants loosened up there and continuing to try to keep warm.
That ain't good.
Nope.
You get your pants loosened, that's probably a good sign you ain't going in.
Either that or you had a big Christmas dinner. It's Hill on 2nd down. That's a 1st down toss down near the 20-yard line. Whitmer again, 2nd straight catch for him.
Brad, this Maryland offense returns 8 of the 11 starters. Of course, Shaun Hill will graduate, but it's a good nucleus for next year's ball club. 2nd year under the system. I hope the alumni don't expect a 10-1 or a 10-2 season every year, but we got a lot of players coming back.
Hill throws. A good throw. Down to the 15, make it the 14 to Julian Gary.
Maybe Brock Berlin should consider transferring to Maryland.
There you go.
Well, I tell you what, the quarterback in Ralph Friedgen's system has a good time because you do a little bit of everything. Some option, some pro offense, some shotgun, some spread, a little bit of everything. Second down at 4. Knocked down that time. He and Scott got a hand on that. Knocked it down.
Shaun is 16 of 27, 200 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He came into the ball game averaging 216 yards passing. Maryland very balanced rushing yardage to passing yardage all season.
12th play of the drive. They need this one, and they got it. Jafar Williams again, and it is first and goal, Maryland. So Williams approaching a 100-yard night as far as a receiver, including a touchdown.
This is very similar to some of the stuff that Florida has been running, the little wide receiver screen, little slip screen, different variation.
First and goal at the 8-yard line. Just under 13 minutes to play. Florida with a big lead, but Maryland driving offensively. Nice play fake by Hill. He's going to roll the throw. Now he's going to tuck it. Get what he can, which was almost 3 yards. The linesman puts his foot down just outside the 5-yard line. Ralph Friedgen, who signed a new 10-year contract late in this season, actually between the end of the year and when this bowl game took place.
Ralph said one of the first things he did when he got there was had workouts, winter workouts at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Said nobody complained. Here's Riley on the pitch. Sticks his head in there. And didn't quite get to the end zone.
You talk about some hitting going on inside the 2-yard line.
That couldn't be a farther play away from our booth, and we could definitely almost feel it up here. Lito Shepard.
That's Manuel, number 4. Shepard is 3.
Stood him up.
They did the most of the hitting.
Third down and goal at the 1. Hill on the give to Riley. Touchdown. Maryland scored. So Mark Riley, the senior, who had been hoping a long time for an opportunity like tonight. And there, how you like that? Coach Friedgen says that's a way to not quit, fellas.
There you go. See, he knows he's not going to win this game, but he said early on, he says, you know, he said I had a lot of character kids. They got up at 5 o'clock and worked out over the winter. He said some of them didn't get the message, and I didn't want them on the squad anyway.
Right. Novak hits the point after. Just under 12 minutes to play. Riley, the senior, takes it, and it's 49-17.
5 guys between them and 10 yards, so they kick it deep.
It'll go down to the 10-yard line to Gillespie. And Robert got up to the 30, 31-yard line. Our first and 10 brought to us by Monster.com tonight. On second and short, they don't need much for a first and 10, and they've got a bunch. Here goes Gillespie again, and he ran right by the safety. Down the sideline, and he's dragged down at about the 10-yard line. It was Denard Wilson, the corner, who looked like he had an angle out there, and Robert just ran right by that angle. 50 yards.
Graham is the bigger and stronger at 215. Gillespie only 5'9" and 190, and he has blazing speed. Gets around the outside, and you know he would love to have run that one in.
Yep. He got it all the way down just outside the 10-yard line. Career long. And they are going to call it first and goal, so it's right at the 10.
That's 192 yards rushing for Florida already here this evening. They came in only averaging 122.
It is 1st and goal. Grossman pump fake, now zips it. Incomplete. Intended for Caldwell. O'Connell was there defensively on the corner. And it's 2nd down.
Florida has thrown more touchdown passes than any other team in the nation, and coming in had allowed fewer touchdown passes than any other team in the nation other than Miami. Miami was tied with Florida at 5 touchdowns allowed passing.
Gillespie sets up in the backfield. Maryland might bring some pressure. Grossman has time, though, and lofts it to the corner. He's got his 4th touchdown pass of the night. And this one is Carlos Perez. Easy pitch and catch. Good route, perfect pass.
2 receivers wide side of the field. Slot receiver just runs a little corner route.
Chandler for the point after. We now have a record amount of Orange Bowl points by 2 teams combined, but most of the points are Florida's. Maryland's defense trying to slow down the Gators and just can't. 56-17. Well, the Gators are going to be tasting those oranges shortly. 10-16 remaining, and they lead 56-17. At about the 2-yard line. On the run back. Out near the 20. At the 20-yard line. Back to throw is Hill. Got a man open and got PARSON deep down the middle and across the 45-yard line. Pick up a 27.
Maryland was, they had a great year. They've no matter how this game turns out, they've had an outstanding year. One of the reasons they had a great year, they didn't have any injuries. Everybody played every game. The only starter that wasn't around for a few games was O'Connell, and he missed like 7 games. But everybody on offense and on defense.
73,640 in attendance tonight, watching Florida en route to their 10th win of the season in this FedEx Orange Bowl.
All right,
Shaun Hill. Keep on working it, son. He's not done. And the last time he carried it, Marcus Oquendo Johnson, you might have seen, help him up as if to say, nice job, man. You are not quitting, and he's still not.
You run the option, and they're going to cover the pitch man and force this quarterback to carry it. And he does, and he carries it very nicely.
Again, the man in motion was Williams. Shaun Hill fires, complete to Gary. Inside the 10 at about the 9, a little bit short of the first down.
67 there, Fowler, the center. Center's got to be bright, call the plays on the offensive line. He's a member of the Maryland Chess Club.
Yeah. I love that. And when he says checkmate, you get out of the way.
Yeah.
And guys, he might be the smaller of the offensive linemen, but I guarantee you he's the biggest guy in the chess club.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
And on the whole circuit, for that matter.
Hill thrown to the corner. Not quite. Whitmer had about a half step, but it was pretty good coverage. Ratliff was out there, and it's incomplete. We mentioned Ralph Friedgen. That new contract came when Georgia Tech was looking for a coach, and they came thinking about wanting him to come back. And Debbie Yao, the athletic director, says, I think we better nip this in the bud. So a new 10-year deal for Ralph to stick around. He says that's the only place he wants to be, and he wants to finish coaching there in College Park.
Well, the ACC has, 5 universities now.
And Riley got there. Touchdown. Yeah. Good for him. Mark Riley, the senior. Speaking of Debbie Yao, the athletic director, she made a promise to this incoming class when they were freshmen. She has a SEC Championship watch when she was the Lady Gators coach. She's been wearing that thing forever. She told these guys when they were freshmen, if you ever win an ACC title, I'll get a new watch. Mark Riley went up to her the other day, says, Miss Yao, it's time for a new watch. We're going to get you an ACC Championship.
That's great.
She said, I didn't know anybody remembered, but Riley did, and Riley's got 2 touchdowns tonight in his final game for the Terrapins. That kept an 80-yard march.
Just good drive. Maryland's going for 2.
And Riley stays in there. Murphy, the tight end, and Gary, Whitmer, and Monroe, the wide receivers. And a 2-point conversion try here in the final 5 minutes. Murphy on the move. Maybe he'll look to him. Across the middle, and Whitmer had it in his hands and couldn't hold it. So it remains 56-23. But Maryland, as they've done all season, showing resiliency and hanging in tough, continuing to try to score here in the waning moments in a losing effort, soon to be a losing effort. 5 minutes left. It was the FedEx Orange Bowl, and they're going to be the champions in 5 minutes, and they'll be 10-2 on the season, and they're certainly not going to.
Well, you said 10-2.
Their national image, that's for sure.
This will be the ninth year of Steve's 12 years that they've won 10 games or more.
So Steve Spurrier is going to win another Orange Bowl. One as a player, and now this will be the second time as coach of the Gators. And his 150th game coached for the Gators will be his 122nd win. That's something else. And Florida throwing here in the last 30 seconds. Calvin Kite makes a catch.
You know what it is. It's he's got a quarterback in there. He wants to let him throw the football.
Yep, he's worked hard all year, too.
He's worked hard. He practices. He goes all the meetings. He's finally got in the game.
I think Steve's backing up from what just happened to Coach Hundley. He got a little bit drenched there. The buckets. And I think they're hunting down Steve right now. Here's Gillespie. And Gillespie's down close to a first down, but the game is down to the end.
I think Steve's looking for that. He's looking at it.
Did they get him? They never got him.
He was looking.
He's still looking.
Look at him. He's got his back toward the back to the field.
He doesn't miss much, does he?
Well, he knows.
Our congratulations to the 2002 and 68th edition of the FedEx Orange Bowl. The champions are the Florida Gators. 56-23 is the final, and to Ralph Friedgen and his Terrapins, they certainly have nothing to hang their heads about. A remarkable story, one of the great feel-good Cinderella stories, if you will, in all of college football in a long, long time, and they had a remarkable year. Florida wins the FedEx Orange Bowl in fine style. 56-23 is the final. Let's go down to Lynn Swan.
I've got the coach right here. He's excited. He's looking for players to talk to and congratulate. But congratulations to you, Coach. Just describe this ball game and how it went for your team.
Well, we had a pretty good month of practice, and we wanted to try to play a lot better than we did last time out. And really proud of the entire team. Defense, we got a little sloppy at the end, but overall had an excellent game. And our quarterback, Rex, was maybe the best he's played, and our receivers caught everything. So it was a pretty good performance.
What was different about Rex tonight? Was he just a little more in tune to this game?
You know, he picked out his underneath guys maybe as good as he's done all year. And of course, he'd always hit the long ball and intermediate ball when it's there. And the receivers were good tonight. But Rex really picked his spots, threw it where they could catch it. Had one of his best, maybe best games.
Coach, your defense, once again, was superlative. People talk about your offense all the time, but your defense applied a lot of pressure to a good Maryland team.
Yeah, the goal line stand was pretty big right there, and we got it back right before half and made that touchdown. It really helped. But our guys were pretty efficient on offense right in that second, third quarter.
I know one of the questions that was kind of hovering around this ball game, you probably don't have an answer for. But one of the questions was whether or not Brock Berlin would be coming back to your school after this game.
Well, again, we don't have to worry about that tonight. We're going to be happy. We beat Maryland. We got us another Orange Bowl trophy, and we're 10-2. And the Gators are the best fans in the world.
Coach, thank you very much. Brett?
Well, Steve got their attention, didn't he? Maryland Terrapins, the ACC champs, and now the 10-2 Florida Gators will finish in the top 5. It was a good game. We thank you for being with us. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence.